Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 86 of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Geoff, and we have a good one for you today, a lot to talk about, and alongside me, before I forget, as always, is the WrestleMania to my Bound for Glory. It's Max, everybody. What's going on, buddy?
It is WrestleMania weekend. I'm a big two-night event now. I don't know what that means, but you know what WrestleMania means, Geoff?
What's that mean?
Disappointment.
Oh, no.
Much like I was disappointed with the fact that Bullet Club didn't sweep their matches last night. I'm sure I'll be disappointed. And no AJ tonight either, so I got nothing to look forward to after the episode.
Is that, the two-night thing or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, cool.
I think Cody Rhodes will show up, though.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So,
Yeah,
AEW has been Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, obviously, has been. Obviously WrestleMania is on here behind the curtain. Obviously, if you're watching things on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, which I expect you to be doing, welcome. Thank you. We'll be talking about Multiverse matches, a lot of Impact, but a lot of kind of the intertwining of WrestleMania weekend. ROH Supercard happened at the same time. Rampage happened at the same time. Is there some...
SmackDown.
Sure. I just mean in the regards to that relationship, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, especially after seeing what Tony Khan era of ROH is going to look like. So we got a lot to talk about. But let me first we'll plug the couple shows that we, as they pop on there on our YouTube channel, or Twitch, live here on Twitch, excuse me. This is episode 86. We are on follower 86. So by next episode, we need one more Twitch follower. I know the chats are not going to blow up tonight, so maybe I'll insert some post-ed note. This will be live up right after this. Yeah, after this, we'll put it up. All right. But yes, like I was saying, we have 3 LOL TNAs that debuted. You can see them scrolling by as you see there. Go check them out. Not time sensitive whatsoever, but in a time where we all could probably use a friend or some. It's Max in the chat.
I got you. I'm gonna be
for example, where we all could use an extra friend. It's 3 guys talking wrestling, being stupid, and talking some of the funniest things and greatest moments of TNA this week. Tuesday, 4:20 p.m. Look out for Cookie Gate. That'll be a good one. And then TBN Talking Bloody Nonsense, episode 15 is out now. Episode 16 will be out 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. BST this Thursday. And TBN Chats number 5. Got a lot of shit going on. TBN Chats number 5. Rio is the guest. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm pretty sure I am. She just wrestled Saturday for PEW at Kings of Combat. So go check it out. She talks with Mr. Impact Craig, so you get to see Craig as well. So good times. But Max, before we waste any more time, let's just go straight into one of our favorite subjects here, or segments, I guess. Comments.
Oh, hey. I do enjoy YouTube comments.
All right, we're going to see. I honestly do not really vet these before. I kind of screenshot, cut, and then slap on here, so they're not in any particular order. Or we'll see if they are relevant to the time frame.
Read those.
Yeah,
never mind. I can see them on my Twitch screen.
Well, there you go. All right. Do you want to read our buddy Millard Harris's first?
Sure. From Millard Harris. There's a lot of free agent wrestlers who were wrestling in Dallas over the last few days. Do you think that Impact will be bringing anyone into the company by Rebellion or the TV tapings afterwards? I hope we do before Tony Khan punk ass signs everybody, every damn body. I do. We'll talk about that more. Well, once we get to the ROH AEW Impact Wrestling segment, I'll discuss more because of some stuff that happened at Supercard of Honor. I think that's going to lead into some things that could happen with roster moves and stuff, but
okay,
I'll wait there.
All right, next up, and thank you for your question as always. To answer it, because we didn't answer anything, we'll talk about the ROH stuff and AEW stuff later. As far as bringing them in, the timing is, I think, irrelevant, unfortunately, because, yes, everyone's there. Maybe they're chatting with some people, but as we found out, I think we looked into it last night, they don't tape it until right after Rebellion, so I think May, or the nights after, Rebellion, and then May. So we'll see. I think there's a lot going on, and there's still some tapings that still have yet to air. So we'll see what happens well, actually not this week because it's IPWF, but after that. So let's go. Blurry Walk, welcome back. It's fine for a heel to sometimes cheat, but having Tasha need Evans most of the time to interfere makes Tasha look like she isn't good enough to defeat other knockouts without help. I think so far Multiverse match looks like it outshined the Rebellion card. Who cares? As far as in regards to outshine, if I always find it funny when people are, and that's no offense taken. I mean, take a look at it however you want, but it's Impact. Either way, it's Impact. The Rebellion's not their WrestleMania. It's not anything. It's a show. As long as they're putting on a good show each month, I could give no shits. So there's that. I guess the money aspect of it, but
yeah, I think with Multiverse of matches, because you got a lot of necessarily dream matches, but some matches that didn't necessarily have to have storylines or like some quick hitter things,
right?
Like storylines built up. It kind of gave you the option to do some things. There are some matches that Rebellion that I'm super excited about, like Moose Josh Alexander 1-on-1 to me is massive. So I think Gresham, Eddie Edwards, awesome. So I think there's going to be a lot of good things at Rebellion. I just think some of the hype for Multiverse because of some potential things that could have happened. But I think Rebellion's going to be great.
Yeah, I agree, and that doesn't mean that he was insinuating that Rebellion was going to be bad. I just mean that that narrative of this is going to out. I could give zero shits. As long as
it's Impact, and Impact's doing well.
Right. As far as Tasha, I mean, we talked about that, man. I think, I mentioned at the end of last episode, 85, about her kind of, it's too soon to say that. Let's give it more than a month or two, because that's who her gimmick is right now. She is the cheat to win champion. She is the annoying little Bart Simpson-y, as I joke around and say, kind of champion. And with that, you can't be just beating people left and right. She can't be Masha all of a sudden the following week. Will there come a time where this championship reign needs to be solidified and she's going to need to step up and some knockout like Deanna or Taya or whoever it will be will step up and say, look, you've been beating people with Savannah. You've been beating people by cheating. Can you beat us one-on-one? And she will elevate it. As long as they give her that moment to elevate her game, she's fine. But I think it's way too early to talk about it. If every champion was the same, if we had a Moose that's cheating to win every time, a Trey that's cheating, then we could talk. But right now, it fits her character, and we'll see where it goes after. All right. Do you want to read that long one since you see it there?
I can't. It's lagging, so I'll let you read that one.
All right. Darker Sides 22. Multiverse Matches was a really good show. That said, instead of Impact having an episode showing the aftermath of the show that featured the Briscoes Taya build for Rebellion, instead we get an IPWF show this week. Why? Is this like a big joke by management to see how low Impact's ratings could go? Because that would make sense to them making it. No, okay. So April, 5 weeks, 5-week episode, 52-week show. They always put an IPWF show once a year on, at least. So I think that's what we're getting here. They taped a lot of it in Philly. I don't think it's a joke by management. I get what you're saying. At the same time, Multiverse of Matches had very little continuity to it. If the Briscoes or Taya aren't really, and we'll talk about that, aren't really with Impact, why would you, I guess building off the hype, sure. But I don't know, Max, do you really feel like that's a big whatever? Or is it a palate cleanser heading into Rebellion? Because we still have 3 weeks after this week of Impact.
So, I mean, I like the IPFW stuff. I think it's fun to watch. I do think this gives them time, though, to film some stuff, backstage stuff,
right,
that they can put into a lead up for Rebellion.
Yeah.
I do think you're going to see stuff with the Briscoes potentially and with Taya, but having them do this stuff this week, and it's a jam-packed week. People are doing signings, other shows, trying to then squeeze like a whole nother episode in that makes sense. This kind of gives them a little break. It also allows them to film some stuff for multiple weeks that they can then put out. So, yeah. I mean, would it have been nice to have a right after, oh my gosh, this is the fallout?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
But I don't think it's a huge thing considering that this is WrestleMania weekend and then there's always big shows by WWE afterwards. So it's okay for this one to be a joke show, kind of sandwiched in there to lead into something.
Let's also, remember that they'll probably show clips, and if even if they don't, not to make excuses. Of course, in the grand scheme of things, I guess, more build to Rebellion would be great, but the card's kind of locked in, and another 2 or 3 weeks of Impact after IPWF is going to be good for Rebellion. I think it'll send it home. Once again, this isn't our, Bound for Glory. Should it still be focused? I think it is. I think we're kind of nitpicking here because, in the grand scheme, everything's been pretty good. But I guess this is something you could take into consideration. But one second. I just want to, say that. Never mind. I lost it. You go.
Oh, so on top of that, you're right. It's 2 weeks in between.
2 weeks.
It'll be 2 episodes. Okay. So next week's is obviously IPFW. Then you have 2 episodes of Impact. If all that stuff is already filmed, you don't want to give too much of a gap to where you have where these people aren't showing up, because obviously the Briscoes and Taya aren't going to run out into the ring because that stuff's already filmed.
Right.
So you can run your backstage segments, but them not wrestling is well, why are these people only hanging out in the back? Why aren't they doing any So stuff like that, I think, is why they're choosing to do this, because it kind of shortens the amount of time that you have to hide the fact that we filmed this.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point that I was trying to get at, was to essentially with this multiverse matches taking place live in between a set of tapings, maybe they needed something because who knows what would have happened at multiverse matches. So in case they had to clean up something, in case they whatever, I think it's more of a filming 52 weeks worth of content kind of thing. And I think it gives us a nice little change of pace. But to each their own. I can see your point. I cracked up with the no code of honor equals Gresham the rescue. Thanks for that, buddy. Io killing it on Twitter. Metal Lazy 99. As far as the Shera booking, usually the focus is on the positives of a wrestler. But there's only so much booking you could do. I mean, Shera's been in Impact off and on since 2014, so it seems more like Impact is trying to convince themselves Shera is a really good talent rather than trying to convince the fans. I guess you could say that if he had not let go and then brought in NXT, and I mean, you could say that about anyone just because Shera. I don't think it's Impact proving it to themselves. I think they give no shits on as far as the ego side of it. But if you can have a guy who you've brought up and you have his library since day one, since the point of him going to NXT, and you could get something out of him of value in one of your biggest markets, especially that he has a great relationship with, I would do it. But if I don't see slight improvements to what we see in Shera today, compared to when he started in 2014 with the shuffle and all that shit, and before that the Revolution, then this is a different conversation. But I think he's making improvements, and I don't think it's forcing. There's no force. He's good with Raj. I don't get that.
I mean, I think he's making improvements. I think there are some people who are kind of over him. So, but he's not improving as fast as I think we would like him to. It's taken a while, but he's in a definite better spot now than he was when he was doing the shuffle. This is a way better character.
Yeah, and I agree. And he's still in his young 30s, right? Just turned 30 or something like that. So he's still a prospect. It's not like we're saying he's the next AJ Styles. But could he become something in a valuable hand in an asset? Yeah, I think so. I'm not once again saying he's going to be, our champion tomorrow or anytime. Next up, Max, can you see that?
Darker Side's 22. I think Toni Storm would be a great signing for Impact, but with the Forbidden Dork signing everybody he wants, the only way Impact would be able to sign Toni is if AEW has no interest in Toni. Unfortunately, they did, because she showed up on Dynamite.
Nothing to talk about there. Yeah, we call that. I said that she signed with AEW. She did. They're going to sign, as we mentioned, as many people as they can. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Silvers, Dion at the Multiverse matches talking about being the real ROH Women's Champion and clowning on Martinez was wonderful. I agree. Why is there a thumbs down? Did we do that?
No.
We did a heart.
No. You can. There's no sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Some down is just you can see the difference. And then Metal Lazy 99. So it's Tasha versus Rosemary at Rebellion. Honestly, not really interested in that match. Tasha hasn't been booked like a credible champion so far, and Rosemary has been in the tag division. No way Tasha loses this match, which means it will be by far the most predictable match on the card. Well, one, I don't think Tasha could be wrestling Jesus, and she wasn't going to lose the match either because she just got the belt. So sometimes you have to have matches like this. But I think this is a great match for Tasha because she has needed the help. This is a match that she can win straight up and start building to that. So I think that some people, I don't know, are a little critical of where she's at. It's okay to be a heelish champion and then evolve into a strong one.
Right.
You don't have to. It's
funny how that a lot of everyone wants stuff to be not predictable, but then wants the same thing out of every champion. Everyone needs to be a fighting champion. Everyone needs to be. I get what you're saying, and incredible is not the word I would use. I get what you're saying. It plays into that last question. Rosemary is someone coming off injury who's a big name who could add to that credibility of her as a champion. It's going to take time. This is Tasha's first run. Rosemary only had one small one prior. She has a big following, so no matter if she wins or loses, it doesn't hurt her. So, but yeah, I think we need to. We're picking at the things that it's really interesting. Really interesting. And then hey Dinesh, hey yo, what's going on, buddy? All right, so that was that. Let's get into more controversial crap. Critical, huh? Let's get right into the power rankings. Let's see what happens there so we can get all the fun out of the way.
Number 10, contenders Rosemary and DK. Number 9, World Tag Champions The Influence. Number 8, World Champion Tasha Steelz. Number 7, X Division Champion Trey Miguel. Number 6, Speedball Mike Bailey. Number 5, the Motor City Machine Guns. Number 4, Champ Deonna Purrazzo. Number 3, Bullet Club. Number 2, World Champion Moose. Number 1, the Walking Weapon Josh Alexander.
Interesting. Moose, and I can tell you he lost by 1 point, 43-44, and that's what being 10 points for champion. I already see Max's face. Look at his opinion on it. But I will say that even though I did vote that way. I actually like that because look at Josh's week compared to Moose's. Yes, he's not champion, but the momentum.
Moose destroyed Josh's wife. That's at least worth 20 points.
That's not in this week of wrestling whatsoever. That was right.
I mean, I think
this is about Impact Wrestling and Multiverse of matches, and out of that, Moose didn't show on the first one, and then on the second one, he lost. He left his partner hanging. So, I mean, up for debate. I like seeing Decay in there. They had a good week. Bailey rising, a lot of things going on. Steel's dropping. Maybe it's that credibility of champion you guys are talking about.
Maybe. I will say I did see somebody in the rankings committee rank Bhupinder. I'm a little bit concerned about that. I saw that pop up in somebody's rankings.
He got a victory. Until you vote, Max, you have no place to criticize anyone.
Much like most of America, yeah. I don't vote, but I criticize the outcome.
All right. So I do want to say though, we are taking a lot of record as far as with this. We talked about Datila, who does the voiceover wonderfully. You'll see her and Bert have their own extended version of this. We'll talk about a little more in depth, but let's do that now. I just want to say the top 5 getters since we've been recording have been. Let's see. Deonna and Honor No More with 6 out of 8 weeks they've been on the power rankings. Bullet Club and Miguel both with 7 weeks out of the 8, and then Moose with 8 out of the 8. So even with that said, Josh doesn't make the top 5. So Moose still 8 out of 8 on the top 10 rankings, which is pretty dope. But let's get into some roster moves since we've kind of been talking about everything in between already anyways. Let's get into that, Max. You're on the page itself. I know we talked about it last time. We see some things there. GOD gone. Gresham on there, which we can get to. No Briscoes, no Taya, so that doesn't mean anything. But we know Ace resigned. Roster's looking good. Aiden Prince was added on to there.
So Aiden Prince is there.
VSK erased. So, not much to talk about the page itself per se. I might have missed there. My question to you is
I think Josh Matthews got a new picture.
Oh, that's nice. He's got glasses now.
No, just in his suit.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Max, looking at the page is what I'm going to ask you. Is looking at that page, knowing the names that are intertwined right now with Impact, and I know we'll get in more of that in November 3 and on. But Ace resigning as well. How confident right now are you feeling in this roster? Because it does with the interchanging talent. We do take waves. So.
I mean, I'm happy with the roster. There's obviously some people I would like to see, signed.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got from your knockouts with the Inspiration as well as the Influence, both of them. Chelsea's strong, Deanna's strong, Jordan's strong, Tasha's great. So you've got a lot of great talent in the women's division, even if they rotate people in, Mickey and them. So that's great. I think your main event scene with Moose and Josh Alexander, and then the potential with Ace now re-signing, that they can hopefully strap something to him and push him. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. We talked about it yesterday really quick, actually.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. We talked about Ace, so he obviously re-signed. We mentioned that. Critical staying high, by the way. Critical, huh? Because it's dead in here? Yeah, it's WrestleMania, my friend. Ace and Fulton. So we talked about Impact on Access TV. Once again, every month that there is a show, a monthly pay-per-view from Impact or event, we will be on the day that is right before as a pre-show. And we did that yesterday. We talked about Impact on Access TV, but we mentioned that Fulton, it was interesting. Fulton, I don't know if he got written off the show, but Ace and him definitely, a little tension there. Was that to save for Ace if he didn't resign, or was that to give Fulton something else, or maybe Fulton leaves? There are contracts running up. Your thoughts? And
I'm hoping that it's to. I don't know, I'm hoping that it eventually sets up a Josh Alexander versus Ace, and maybe Fulton just kind of is like, "You didn't help me, I'm not helping you. You got to face him one." Maybe something like that. Set up a one-on-one.
You want them to split?
I don't know necessarily like a full split. I like them together.
I do too.
But I wouldn't mind seeing Fulton kind of do his own thing more by himself. So maybe this gives him a chance to kind of do his own thing for a little while. I mean, he's a big man. I think him versus Morrissey would be a really interesting matchup. So I think that's, and I also don't know if this was filmed prior to them knowing about the re-signing. In some cases, you can, you could be close, but you could never know. You don't know how fast these things move. So it could have just been something that they, like you said, they weren't sure. So they went ahead and were like, hey, we'll go ahead and set this up in case we need to do something with it later. Who knows?
No,
so it's
I'm more leaning towards that as well. I mean, it doesn't mean they won't get back together, but I think it's a note that we mentioned yesterday, so might as well mention it today.
Yeah, but I think the roster's it's good. It's a lot. If you actually sit down and break it down, it's a lot stronger than people think it is.
I agree.
Does it carry the name value of AEW or WWE?
No, of course not.
No. But if you actually look at who's Macklin is a name that people who don't watch Impact probably aren't gonna. They may know who he is, but they're gonna be like, okay, cool, whatever.
Right.
But if you've watched Impact, you're like, okay, that's somebody who, I mean, I think they could push him into a world title. They could build a world title, at least a credible shot, and he could come off as a credible challenger with a good story.
You know what's funny, man, is, and I know we'll get to it with the Multiverse match, and I thought it was really weird that he came out with the Saban and then the Jay White. That was a little. We'll talk about that, obviously. But I didn't want to jinx it because I do want him to go the right way. If we're gonna say that. We want that, and we talked about that extensively yesterday as well. If we want the Digital Media Championship to be Cardona, to elevate that to being our Intercontinental, at some point it's got to start somewhere. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be next year. But if you keep building upon what's already built, we could get there. I would love to see Macklin climb that way because I think there's two different routes when you come to Impact now, or maybe three depending on your size or skill set. You go X Division, you go World Tag, and I would hope that if you're not a Tag or X guy, you would go for that mid-card belt, which we hope this is. So I'd like to see Macklin hold that. There's something and I don't want to say it in the sense of, because I know I'll get shit about it, but I want to be honest, and it's funny you said that, and we've never talked about this. Macklin is someone that if you watch, he has a very ringmaster-like quality to him, which means, for my old heads, that's Steve Austin when he came back to WWE, when you knew he was ready to do something different. He had left WCW, was angry, went to ECW, went to WWE, thought he would, or F at the time, was going to be whatever. They gave him the gimmick, the ringmaster, and it was right before he shot off into being Stone Cold Austin 316. I'm not saying that Macklin's going to reach that level, but as far as a championship contender, and someone who is I'm not DTA, I don't trust anybody, you know what I mean? I think he could fill that role very well.
And I think the Digital Media Championship is better for him to hold, but it wouldn't surprise me if Josh beats Moose, if Macklin gets a feud and then goes down and actually he's at that point where he could come off as a credible challenger. This isn't Zicky Dice running for the World Heavyweight Championship here.
Love you, Zicky.
So this is someone who has been built up strong. There's guys like that that are really good wrestlers that I think are going to get overlooked because they're an Impact and they don't have the flashing lights behind
right them. And it's funny, and that's why I love talking to you about wrestling, man, is because I feel like if we're the yin and the yang, I am the white, you are the black. I am the more positive or optimistic when it comes to it, because I see that roster and I say, you people are crazy. How do you critique this roster? If you watch the show A to Z, I really feel like this roster puts on a show that can't be touched. Okay. In different ways, sure. I'm sure AEW puts on a show that can't be touched in certain ways, and WWE and so whatever. But it's not always the name or the star value. How many indie films or how many not big blockbuster Hollywood films have you watched with not so no-named actors, eventually become big, whatever, and love that film? Look, if you actually watch what the script or the show and the segments and all the humor, the drama, everything that Impact is a great, I'll waste my fucking show. It's a great fucking show, man. And I think if you watch it, you would realize that maybe these names aren't as big, like Max is saying, but they, you put them in the roles that Impact does, and they're just, making the most out of them. Oh, shoot, I already skipped over them.
I think the indie films is a great comparison. Like, you look at movies like first one, like Boondock Saints,
right?
Small budget, but it gets that following. People are like, oh, this is so and there's nothing wrong with that. So you're going to get your people who are going to sit here and shit on Impact because it's a cool thing to do and be like, I just can't watch it. It's just crap. When was the last time you watched it? Oh, I think Hogan was there. Like, cool, man. Like, awesome. Like, get out of here.
And that's,
you're going to get those people, but you just,
that's the
Impact
thing.
is doing what they're doing.
That is an attribute that doesn't get measured when you talk about wrestling companies. It's not, how we talk about all the time. This isn't a NBA and NFL where you could look at the rosters and say the talent level is this, this, and this. Here, it's a matter of how many out. There's just a lot of variables that people need to stop comparing them as if they are real rosters of a real whatever.
Correct.
Anyways,
an indie movie isn't worse than Avengers because Avengers budget was $6 billion.
Oof.
It's just
beautifully. I like how you said it. There we go. All right, let's move on. This is a quick one, but this is one I really want to touch on, because you already mentioned it. It happened prior. Obviously, it's changing the dynamic of that feud. I don't know how much more feud they can build towards if we had an extra week, and that's not a shot. I'm just saying, look, he went to his house and scared his wife. He shocked him at a Destiny Wrestling and speared his wife. What the hell else is this guy going to do to get under Josh's skin, man? We're ready to fight. Let's fight.
If I'm Moose's kids, I'm watching my back.
Yeah.
He's got so he has to pick one of them up from school and bring them home or something.
No,
that's the next step.
Stranger danger. But the reason I want to talk about this, and the reason I bring it up, we'll make it quick, is I followed Moose's career since college, Syracuse.
Played at the real U.
Played at the real U.
Syracuse.
Thank you. Moose from the Coos, man. So, always follow him, always whatever. As a young man, had an incident and an issue that people continuously bring up on the internet, no matter what this guy does or who he proves he is now or is acting to be as a mature adult. So, I believe in redemption. I said this about the Briscoes as well. I believe that people make mistakes and you can then make up for them if you truly change. I don't know Moose, but I would like to think that seeing that was a one-time incident, you could look it up for yourself. That's it. You haven't heard anything since. This was even when he was in wrestling. So let's make that apparent first of all before we even get to this. But my question I ask you, and we can move on from it, is when the internet rhetoric, a lot, especially the trolls, is Moose this, Moose that. He's a right, okay. The incident with his ex or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Is this something that just not is a fu to the trolls, but it's like, look, they already think this of me, and I know I'm not. I know who I am as a human being now. Let's just, if you address it, and by address it, I mean just let me spear the hell out of Josh's wife. That rhetoric goes away in the sense of where they can use it as ammunition as much. I don't know if that makes sense. To me, that's the first thing I thought.
So,
besides pushing the storyline.
Yeah, I don't know if when Impact came up with this story, if they were thinking anything about it.
No.
I think Moose is the character Moose plays is super slimy. I will do what I have to do to win.
Right.
Anybody that gets in my way, I'm going to go through. Right. And that type of character, the start of it, when he speared Josh in front of his family and pinned him, right. He showed he was willing to cross the line that not all wrestlers will. Like that's, and it's just been a continuation of that.
Yeah.
I speared you. I attacked you in front of your family. I went to your family's house. You couldn't keep them safe because I can get to them when you aren't there. You also can't keep them safe when you're there. I'll get to them when you're in the ring with them. Yeah. And it's just a continuation of how dangerous Moose is.
Oh, yeah. And I'm not saying that they did it as a FU in the sense of like, oh, look, we did this. You guys can. But what I'm saying is when you say, look, I know if I was accused of murder, I'd probably not do a storyline about murder, right? Okay? That's probably right for the best.
OJ wrote a book.
Well, because he murdered her, allegedly. But what I'm saying is you won't touch it if you're still that or you're guilty or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think I agree with you in the fact that it was a one-time thing. Yeah. You can read the stuff that happened. Yep. I think Impact clearly believes that this isn't who Moose is. Moose clearly believes this isn't who Moose is. Josh clearly believes that this isn't who Moose is. Because realistically, if I was in wrestling and there was a guy who was a serial woman abuser, right. I'm not going to let him spear. Like, I'm not going to play that game. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to have. So clearly, Josh trusts Moose enough to do this angle. So I think it's just, hey, we know this isn't who Moose is. Right. But Moose is fine with playing this character because it works.
Yeah, and it picks. Yeah, no, there's a lot, man. Unfortunately, a lot that I see that's their first go-to, and it's unfortunate, especially with the career he's building. But I think this is one of the things that you could check off, and he never has to address it, never has to talk about it. Impact never does, or has to make a wink at it whatsoever. But it's you know what, man, I've moved on, man, and this is. The spirit of Jade. What's that?
Didn't Stone Cold slap around?
Okay, we're not going to get into.
But I'm just saying. But that never comes up when you talk about Austin. Like people conveniently overlook that. But with Moose, it's not because he's an Impact. People want to get on it,
and that's not my point to bring this up. I want to bring up things, but it's brought up a lot, especially.
And that's why because he's an Impact. Yeah. If Moose was an AEW, you'd never hear about it.
Yeah, I can name some names. All right, let's get to number 3. 4 and 5 are intertwined. We'll save a big chunk for that. But let's talk about ROH. What happened with them last night? We're not going to obviously go into their whole thing, but there are some key points that play into us. And we've talked about it extensively again yesterday, but we've talked about it. I've been talking about it a little bit leading up to it, but more now than ever in my gut of guts, I feel like the AEW Impact relationship is the door might be creaked open, but we're not playing well anytime soon. I feel the New Japan relationship is really good with us, and maybe not so much with AEW. Hence why they had to give, a little. Here you go. Thank you. Sorry for last time. TV title. So who knows? That's all hearsay. That's just gut. But my question to you is, obviously you have something you want to talk about with the Briscoes and all that stuff. But when it comes to, they're signing Samoa Joe. This goes to the questions people asked in the YouTube comments. With what you're seeing what ROH did last night through AEW, one, where do you think, is it still going to be that farmer system we thought it would be? And then two, is this going to jeopardize, I won't say jeopardize, but does this hurt our signing chances even more? Does this hurt our, I could go on and on about it. I mean, they signed everybody, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about what ROH is going to be first. Obviously, outside of Gresham, who was wrestling, who's an ROH guy, who was wrestling Bandito, who's an ROH guy, every single ROH guy lost their title. They all lost them. To me, I don't know. I think Tony Khan wants to make it a developmental. I think he's trying to figure out a way to do it. Is he going to put it on a streaming service? The episodes, is he going to get a TV deal? I feel like right now what he's going to do with those belts is use them in AEW storylines.
Right.
Wheeler Yuta got the pure title. He's going to go join William Regal and Bryan Danielson and them. The tag belts are going to be with the Revival and the Young Bucks. They're going to feud over that. They gave the TV title to someone in New Japan. Go ahead and take that thing to New Japan. If you lose it on the way, who cares? Whatever. So I don't think they're gonna have many storylines. It's just gonna kind of be they're gonna use these belts to further the AEW storylines.
Kind of like we did prior to.
Well, if you look at it though, they gave it to Deanna because they needed to get it off Roxy.
No, I'm not saying why or what. I'm not saying that any of that's negative. We did the same thing. We brought their titles in to tell a story within our story.
Yeah, but he bought ROH. I don't think he's going to restart it. Fair. I feel like though with all these, at least not until he gets a TV deal.
No, bro, AEW Dark or something like that's just going to become ROH. They have 72
Possibly.
shows. Look, you don't bring Brian Cage in as an ROH guy now, and you don't bring in Samoa Joe saying he's going to win the ROH.
But Wheeler Yuta won the ROH Pure title, and then they just said Wheeler Yuta is all elite. So he's not in ROH. He's part of AEW.
Okay, fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's why I don't know if he knows right now what he's going to do with ROH. I think he's still trying to figure it out. I think he bought it because he wanted that tape library, and then he got the belts and was like, well, I'll give them to all my guys who are part of AEW, and then I'll figure out something later on.
But what about Gresham?
Well, that was the thing. Because they had the storyline of Gresham versus Bandito, you had to have an ROH guy win it, unless you were going to throw in a triple threat, and it didn't matter. So I think...
Well, Bandito with Chavo would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but so I read somewhere that Bandito... Now, I don't know if it's true, that Bandito's visa is up, so he had to leave.
Okay.
So that's why they kept it on Gresham.
Okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me if Gresham loses that belt quickly. But the thing is, with all those ROH champions leaving, I don't think that Tony Khan is eager to sign many ROH guys.
No, I don't think so either.
Which to me is good for Impact because it potentially allows him to sign Gresham. It potentially means that your Honor No More people are going to stay in Impact.
But there's only so much TV, and my concern, obviously our inkling of thoughts originally of Impact was, interested in purchasing it. And then we showcased ROH to what I was saying earlier. We showcased it very nicely, I thought, with much respect. And, I think he wanted it maybe for the tape library, but I think there's a little part of him that just, the way he kept mentioning, and this isn't, if you want to check the records, check our records as far as, me being positive towards Tony Khan and kind of turning lately, which is more so the case. Just the pettiness, like, the saying, oh, we have a free show on at 10. there was like little things, and could they be read into? Sure, but I think he's not happy. You talk about it a lot, and it makes perfect sense. I believe you completely. As far as the just relationship isn't the best right now, and
I agree with
he
that.
kept Brian Cage another year to put him in ROH, and then if you listen to the interview he had, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't tell Brian, but I love Brian. I had so many things up for him. That's why I renewed it." Fuck you, man. I just think a lot of this he's using out of convenience. I hope he uses ROH because as an ROH day oneer, man, it, it, it I would have loved for ROH to be the second or sister company of Impact, and it sucks that went by, man.
I would have too. I think he bought ROH. In my opinion, the sole reason he bought it was because he wanted their first pay-per-view.
That's fair.
He did not want to risk the fact that WWE buys ROH and has control of their first pay-per-view.
If that's the case, though, what you would say is, hey, I'll give you X for anything content related to this Impact and have the rest. So I think there's more to it. I think there's a lot of he has the money swinging around. And the point with that as well, so we can jump into this, is Samoa Joe obviously made his debut there. We had talked about him maybe coming back. I'm not heartbroken by it as much as I was when he re-signed with NXT because we were going to Slammiversary. I get why he would want one more big run. Gets the ability to do the ROH stuff as well as the AEW, but I love Joe. Obviously, would love to have him. If they said, "Oh, never mind, we're not going to sign him. He's Impact tomorrow," good. Same time, is he going to get lost in the shuffle? I think it's hard to lose Samoa Joe in the shuffle, but
it's not when he's wrestling on Dark and Elevation. Yeah. He'll come in, and really, here's what I think will happen. He'll come in, he'll do a storyline for a couple months, for a month or so, and then he'll get rotated out because they'll hire somebody, they'll bring somebody else in, and it's unfortunately, and then he'll probably get put in a stable with somebody.
Well, my thought is honestly that Punk wins the belt next, and he gets that Punk versus Samoa Joe rematch that people have been waiting for years.
And he might, and then that'll be his run in AEW.
Joe's a game changer. That's cool.
Yeah. So.
All right, awesome. Let's get into our predictions. In that, Max didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I did. I'm caught up already. I have our team picks here and an update for anyone watching who's interested in that, as well as the team who watches this later. But Max, let's start with the review of this. Run it however you want. You lead. I'll talk.
So once again, I did not get a chance to watch it. I'm not going to pretend I did.
Ask me what.
We'll go ahead and start with the first match of the night, which happened to be our first match on the card. Look at us go! You didn't order these, did you? Okay. So X Division champion Trey Miguel versus Jordan Grace versus Chris Bay versus Blake Christian versus Vincent versus Rich Swann. Ultimate X match. What'd you think?
Yeah.
Open the card like all X Division championship matches should.
Sure. No, it was a great way to start. The crowd was pretty good. The audio, much like ours tonight for some reason, is kind of wonky. It was wonky last night. But for me, venue rarely takes me out of it. The last Kentucky taping did. When it's always a step down. If it's always in the same level, I'm cool. Of course, big step up. But what I can say, and I always will say, especially taking that out, is that place was packed. And that place... in Dallas, right? Is that technically the area they're in? Houston, Dallas?
Yeah, it's the Dallas area.
Okay, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
I think.
That market will remember what product Impact was given when they came to that town, what they gave out. And once again, we're not in a position to have it filled, the seats tomorrow. It's just not where we're at. It's not the budget we have or the game plan we're going with. With that being said, I thought it looked good. That match was good. It's cool to see the Ultimate X being something that, say, like Blake Christian, for instance, or Jordan being excited to be back in it again, that people are excited to be in that match. Obviously it was kind of oversaturated for a bit, but I like Trey. It made way too much sense. especially with things being taped prior. And then heading to Rebellion, could you have popped him out for a Bay? Sure. But I think Trey, Bailey, and Ace is a story in its own. So I liked it. Good match. Right person won for me. Ending, people seemed a little, they wanted Jordan to win, it looked like it seemed.
Yeah, I mean, she's a big star. I think people like her. She's got
So
a good social media presence, too, which helps elevate people's like for her. Yeah. Second match, digital media champion and NWA World Heavyweight Champion Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green versus the James Gang, Nikki and Mickey. Once again, I correctly predicted this match. Saw it coming a mile away.
Did you?
Once again, I predicted this one correctly. Okay. Saw it coming a mile away. Yeah. So what'd you think? I know you were hoping that Cardona's would win. What'd you think overall? Do you think it storyline wise? You think it's something that continues, or you think this was just the end?
It sucks because I obviously want Cardona to stay, and I think he will. He's our DMC champion. I don't think he's headed anywhere anytime soon. Chelsea the same, but once again, that's the NWA Heavyweight Champion, Matt Cardona, and someone who obviously has a big tie to and Chelsea and Mickey and Nikki. So, the match was what it was. It was a couples match. Enjoyed it. And there's some, I don't know, man. It was a match, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't, right home to mom either. But it was cool, I will admit, to see, I won't say Aldis, I'll say Magnus back, Impact. He looked happy to be there. He looked like he did it for his wife, which I don't blame him. But the crowd didn't like him. So that was nice.
The crowd had the same energy as you.
Yeah, no, look, man, I think it's going to be hard. One, he didn't, I doubt he even wanted to be there. I doubt he will be an Impact going further. Maybe that'd be cool. Go. Yeah, if it brings a good storyline and some fun stuff, I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, he left the company, and I'm sure he left it within the right reason to, and in the right. But I just don't like when people shit on the company after they leave, because then it makes it hard to be a fan of that person when you're still a fan of that company. So it's hard, but a good enough match.
Third match, clearly the most predictable match of the night for us. Everybody picked Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey did in fact win.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about Mike Bailey? Do you think going into Rebellion he has a shot at winning Triple Threat with this, or have you seen enough from him with his previous matches, or?
I thought that this was he's going to win it. Okay. Look, Trey's reign has been wishy-washy for one reason or another. And I don't mean that in a sense of, it's been good, bad. It's just consistency, either due to illness or family issues, or, or coming back and then having to rebuild. It was up, it's had its laws. He wasn't, and also on top of that, he's a face champion. It's not going to be the bigger, better runs generally come with the heels. But I thought, it gave him it for his first run. It set the precedence for what he could be. I thought he did great with it. Spider Trey is over in the Impact zone, so that's dope. And he'll always be in the picture. But that being said, I think it's Speedball's time. I think once he wins, then you have two solidified, because now I'm not sure Ace is going to stay in this division right away or right after this, but Ace and Bailey are a great place to retool this division, at least as stables, as the main people.
No, I agree with that.
So, yeah, I love the match. It says a lot about Alex Shelley coming in and just losing all the time, so that's nice. He has not got a pin, and he has not he has only taken pinfalls. But so I respect him for that. And then Bailey, I think, is going to be a star if he's not already. But he has that something extra. He's wearing red and white, and they're mentioning him. He's from Canada as well, so that makes me happy. But
he needs to put on shoes. That's what's holding them back, is the lack of shoes.
Why?
Because
no,
I just feel like he should wear shoes.
I think he's awesome. I think he's over, and I think it's his time. And once again, I like the kid.
Triple threats are no disqualification, right?
Correct.
Bring some tacks to the ring, throw him out in the triple threat, completely eliminate Mike Bailey from the match. No shoes, can't walk on tacks. I'm just saying.
Okay.
That's what they should do. There you go. This is me thinking. All right.
Thinking dumb. Move on.
At least I'm thinking. Next one, Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, The Influence versus Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans, Decay, Giselle Shaw, and Lady Frost. Winners, obviously. Everybody but Lucha guessed it because Lucha holding strong to his Tasha picks. What'd you think? Do you think this sets anything up going forward with any of them, or do you think it's going to be right back to the inspiration after this?
No, it might be that the inspiration are hurt, or at least Cassie was that we thought maybe. Remember they made a mention.
Yes, Cassie's the one they mentioned was injured.
Okay, so we don't know. Does it go back? They're still fighting over Caleb. They continued that storyline, which I thought they did nicely there. But I will say that I'm so happy the Influence were on the top 10, and I forgot to mention this because I thought this was the best. It's multi, so it's kind of hard, but this is one of the best or better of the Knockouts tag team title defenses I've seen. I thought the match was well done. I thought they gave them enough time to shine. Each one did shine. The crowd was into it. They got an Impact Wrestling chant during the match, which, once again, fans, I think Impact fans tend to do it at the right time. There's never just stare at but I thought they deserved it. And I thought this is, Max, if this is one that you go back, I don't know if you're going to watch the whole thing, but this is one definitely I would see because the development of this division is going to be in the from within. You build up Decay and the chemistry continuously that they have. You get Savannah and Tasha more chemistry in what they already have. Lady Frost and Giselle, I don't think they're going to be together, but they both had great showings in that. Look, not every division has to be 10 deep. We have 2 hours of television. And if you have a good 4 teams, I'm good with it, man. And this really showcased it that they're not just belts. We said it yesterday that these belts right now make the champion, and the champion also makes them compared to it's usually one or the other. So right now, the title changes, anything work they put into this title picture is for the better, is what I'll get at. Or what I'll say. There.
So next match was, outside of Craig, the surprise of the night for everyone, in which Eddie Edwards took on Ishii. Ishii comes out with the win. Did you see it? Clearly you didn't see it coming because you picked Eddie.
No.
But what were your thoughts on it? Where do you
Look, the match itself, banger. I always like Ishii's work. I could say I've only seen, a handful or more, less than 2 handfuls of his matches, mostly in the States. But I enjoyed him versus Eddie, man. It was hard hitting. They gave him enough time. The ending was a bit of surprise, but by that time I could give a shit if the referee won. It was such a good match, enjoyable, and it didn't make Eddie look weak. And it also, once again, anytime, because Eddie's just like we mentioned with Rosemary prior, he is one of those people that can win, or lose, and it's still going to be Eddie Edwards. It doesn't matter.
True.
So this did not do much to hurt Eddie, and if it made New Japan happy or Ishii happy that they got a victory over an Impact guy, or made Eddie happy putting over more power to us. But for the match itself, wonderful.
And he's just not an Impact guy. He's a Noah guy.
Excuse me.
Remember.
That's right.
He doesn't claim Impact.
So maybe Noah's upset, but not me or Impact.
Exactly.
Not I or Impact.
Next match was Impact World Champion Moose and Pierre Carl Ouellet, also known as PCO, versus Josh Alexander and Jonah, all capital letters. Great music for Jonah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I've mentioned that
great.
Recently, but I love his theme.
Yeah, he's going to get a Jonah stay from me, man, because this dude, look, I know you said your piece about PCO being a little bit older, and I said my piece about not wanting about in the world title picture. But these 4 guys, if you were to say, hey, this is our world title scene, I'd say, okay, Like, it was a good match that showcased 4 heavyweight dudes that really, maybe PCO is one of those floaters, those that doesn't ever win, but he's always in a good match. Never, like, once again, like Eddie Rosemary, where the character doesn't take a hit by a win or loss. I dug it, man. I already mentioned Moose kind of backed out and let PCO to himself, which is very Moosey. So it fit that narrative there. You know, Josh and Jonah getting a little bit of they worked well together, but we'll see how long that lasts. I loved the first feud they had. I don't want to jinx it, man, but I have a feeling that Jonah's sticking around for a little bit. Doesn't mean he's signed, but could I see him be a Josh's first challenger, a second challenger? I think I can.
Okay. Next match, ROH Women's Champion, real Women's Champion, not that interim shit.
Yeah.
And AAA Reina de Reinas Champion Deonna Purrazzo versus Fabi Apache. Deonna won. We're going to go ahead and skip over the Fabi Apache part.
No, let's not skip over the Fabi Apache part. It's a match that happened, and we got to talk about it. So we were, I was wrong, and anyone who didn't put Taya, didn't put Deonna was wrong. So that you got it right, Max. Deonna did win. Fabi Apache was the person, the surprise challenger. Look, something was up as soon as she came out. They ran it back just like the Thunder Rosa and Mickie James thing from Slammiversary. They ran it back and had, Fabi Apache is the switch, and then Taya, as you were alluding to, is the get. I thought the match was good enough. This is their rematch for that title because she had beat her for it originally. And I guess now we get Taya at Rebellion. Taya versus Deonna at Rebellion. Like I said yesterday, this is one of those matches where Deonna could lose and it was okay. Hence why I picked whoever would have beat her, because she could film stuff backstage for these last 2 weeks where she doesn't have one of the belts backstage. It doesn't hurt her, her story. But I didn't think about Taya maybe, her keeping it and then Taya coming for Rebellion. So I'm beyond stoked. I don't know if it's a one-time thing, but I'm happy.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think it's a one-time thing, or do you think Taya's back in Impact? Do you think she's going to be signed or a long-term storyline thing?
I just can't see her. I think I respect as a businesswoman and someone who's been in the game very, and obviously as a husband who's been in the game very long as well, that can take a step back and say, maybe going to AEW is not the best, right? Maybe it's not all in Impact. No, because look, she could go for a bigger title. I lost my shit when Taya's music hit as well. Critical Sting. Love that music. Love her. She is Impact. Impact obviously loves her. The fans respect her, and she is the longest reigning Impact Knockouts champion of all time, world champion. So I'm okay with her being back. Not okay. I would love for her to be back. To answer your question, though, I guess we'll see after Rebellion. I don't know, man. I like at the beginning of the show, I didn't even think that she would be on these next 2 episodes leading up, besides for maybe vignettes. So at the most, we'll see. What is your thought? Your initial thought is?
We'll see. I think she's going to be here. I don't know if she's signed yet, but I think she'll be here for a while.
Yeah.
If nothing similar like a Finju situation where, or a Bullet Club where she's here, she does a storyline or two. It would not surprise me if she goes for that title, though.
Yeah, for the knockouts.
Yep.
I would be okay with that. There's no problem. Like, I look at it, and Rosemary's a one-time champion. Jordan's a one-time champion. Ty's a one-time champion. There's people that could, win these belts again, and it feels new again, even though she's held it for so long. But I would love for her to maybe, if she goes for it, veer off to the tag eventually. If it's not with Rosemary, her and Lady Frost. And the reason I say that is because Valkyrie's first gimmick when she first came in, when she was, and had the snow kind of, what was it? I can't remember. Not the finisher. Road to Valhalla. She calls it that. Yeah. So it was very all kind of Game of Thrones and the whatever. So her and Frost could be cool together, and they both have a similar wrestling stylish. So something to keep your eye on. But I hope she does, and if John comes with, cool. That would be dope as well.
That would be awesome. Next match, a match I will be skipping. Jay White versus Chris Saban. Chris Saban counters the Blade Runner into the roll-up.
Why are you skipping it?
Because Jay White lost. And I don't want to watch that. It saddens me. Unfortunately... Yeah, I know it doesn't. But it is his first ever... I'll actually watch. I'm just messing. It is his first pinfall loss in Impact Wrestling, though.
Yeah.
What do you think of the match? Do you think this sets up further storylines between Bullet Club and Motor City Machine Guns? Do you think that... Well, I'll follow up my next question.
I figured as much.
What do you think?
In regards to the match itself, it was a weird one for me. It was weird. It had nothing to do with Jay losing. I'm happy Saban got a win. That's pretty cool, man, because, we said that we think Jay is getting built to be a title contender. Do we know if it means he sticks around? No, but does it mean he can get a shot at Josh and be credible? Yeah, I think so. What they did by Saban winning is kind of, I won't say leapfrog him, but keep Saban in that world as well. Alex, we all know about Alex Shelley. We love Alex Shelley, but we know he's got a life outside of this, and he comes in, he comes out, and if he's here long term, wonderful. I love Alex Shelley, total mark for him. But Saban's going to have to do something afterwards if he does go. And after Rebellion, let's not forget who told Josh to cash in option C. Chris Saban. They had that banger of a match that made Josh feel like he's done everything he needed to do as X Division champion. So I think there's something they could play off there. I feel like they're building that gallery of, I don't want to say rogues, to Josh Alexander, which I think is inevitable.
That is very interesting. That's a good point. The final match of the night, the Good Brothers versus former ROH Tag Team Champions, them boys, the Briscoes. Technically, since Jay White helped pick up the win, I'm counting my Jay White win as a win because
right. Bullet Club won through. Yeah, they won one.
Osmosis. I don't know if that's the term I'm looking for. But that's what I'm going with.
Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, that's be careful.
Yeah.
So Good Brothers pick up the win. What'd you think about this? Also, I will say this before and give you my thought on this. Apparently, I did see someone online say that the Briscoes did say, I don't know if it was shown on there, but they are not done with Impact.
Okay.
So apparently after the lights went out, they said they're not done with Impact. So what do you think about that as well, if that's true?
See, I don't read anything, but that makes me very happy. I can't hide my Markism. I think that means something else. For them boys, man, the Briscoes, obviously love ROH, but they just didn't seem like a good fit for AEW's ROH or AEW, and we could talk about that as well. Much like the Moose thing, silly little stuff. Not silly, it's important stuff that happened in the past, but now in the future, we're different people. We're over a decade later. So, look, I'm not saying if them losing on the opportunity to AEW, if that's what they want to do, is good. But if it helped us secure their services, I'd be a very happy camper. I really feel like they are going to take the place of some team at Rebellion. Even Good Brothers, when they're on the mic, they're talking about, we don't care if it's the 7 or 8 teams or 22 or whatever, we have to face a Rebellion. So maybe they had the Briscoes because they did get screwed out of that match. I said the only reason I picked the Briscoes was wishing it to an existence, that they would win, and then that, by storyline purposes, would say, hey, you beat the Good Brothers, then you have to be in the Rebellion match because you've beat a contender, right? But this works as well. They got screwed out of it. We have a face GM or VP, whatever you want to call them. So I don't know if they'll be on Impact going into Rebellion, but I would like to think that if they're men of their word, that this all lined up. Look, we said they needed to lose the ROH titles for this to be a possibility. We said that them winning the GCW ones were kind of a maybe of them not going somewhere else. because that's an indie title. AEW is more big on keeping guys within for the most part. What are your thoughts? What are your initial reaction about it? Same thing?
So, I mean, I do think with them losing the ROH title, it definitely opens the door. There's obviously been some words that the cable networks don't want them. Good for Impact. I do think there's a possibility. You know, you beat Jay White, that deserves an ass whooping.
Yeah. So
maybe an injury to one of the machine guns opens up a spot for.
Well, here's my question, really quick.
Briscoes.
So, Critical Stings, you said they're booked for GCW on the 23rd. Where is we obviously they're being held in different places. I think we said Detroit, and we talked about. But didn't we say last time we brought this up, Motor City's also booked on the 23rd, or at least Alex Shelley is?
I think somebody said Alex Shelley is.
So, and if he's getting advertised for Rebellion, does that mean two teams are not going to be? So I don't know. Let's look into that, or wait.
We'll see. I mean, they could be there, but there's also remember, cards are always subject to change. Things could always happen.
Right.
And so and I know you don't want to sit there and say they wouldn't do that, but let's be realistic. If you've got two options, you're going to choose the bigger of two. So
well, they are the tag team champions of GCW.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
And to they are bigger than us in some ways.
So I mean, we'll see. But I think they may be there, maybe not. But I did. Once again, someone said that they said they're not done. I do think the bare minimum leads to a storyline. If nothing else, similar to Fin Juice, where they're there, they do multiple storylines. If you look at their career, I feel like being Impact Tag Team Champions would be a good notch on that bout of everything they've accomplished.
Yeah, I agree with you. My question, though, is if they're that Fin Juice like thing where they're in and out and there are other places, you wouldn't mind that, obviously.
No, I don't care. I'm completely fine with that. That doesn't bother me to see guys come in, because to see big names come in, do a storyline, leave, come back, do a storyline, I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me at all.
So what about See, I think if someone goes if they go to AEW or continue a storyline with ROH, they're probably there for the All Elite hashtag. So the Young Bucks came out at the end of Supercard of Honor and attacked the Briscoes and then a challenge FTR or whatever, right? Is that more about leading up to Young Bucks FTR, or does that mean the Briscoes?
I think it's Young Bucks FTR. I think they're gonna that's the feud. Young Bucks FTR is the feud because they have something going on at AEW. But that's where that's gonna be, is Young Bucks.
So
FTR.
Briscoes were just crosshairs in the crosshairs.
Yeah, I just think it just
okay,
happened.
Cool. So yeah, at the end of the day, I hope this leads to them signing with us. It doesn't need to be exclusive, but I want to see them on the damn roster page. And once I see them and Taya on the roster page, that roster could stay for the rest of the time. So we are over, and I want to wrap it up, man. I appreciate you hitting on that. We'll get Max's word on next time, actually, of when he sees it and says his overall thoughts. But I thought it was a great show. I understand that IPWF is coming this weekend as kind of a whatever, but let's cleanse the palate. We got 2 more weeks after that to Rebellion. A lot of this stuff's already built up. And I don't know if the card, look at that card. For Rebellion, it's getting better and better and better, and we don't know what else is coming. But I do want to say, let's get into this. So last night at Multiverse of Matches, our team here, as you can see, Io, Bert, Craig, Datila, Geoff, Lucha, Max, and Nixon. Last was Lucha with 2 out of 9 last night. Lucha tied for second to last, I guess, or third to last. Me and Nixon with 4 out of 9. Datila, Bert, and Io with 5 out of 9. Max in second place with 6 out of 9. And brother Craig, 8 out of 9. So where does this leave us? As a group for the past 2, so No Surrender, or was it Sacrifice? Whatever the one that we started finally doing this. And this one now we've had 20 matches. And I love you, Lucha, but in last place right now is Lucha with 9 out of 20. Tied for 6th place are Datila and Nixon, who both have 10 out of 20. Tied for 3rd place, Bert, Geoff, and Max with 12 out of 20. Come on, man, I am appalled. 2nd place.
If we were baseball players, I'd be a Hall of Famer.
Right. Well, if you're WWE, you would everyone's a Hall of Famers. Number 2, second place, 13 out of 20. So we're creeping up. Io's and then in second place, congrats Io. And then first is Craig with 16 out of 20. First place, Craig, about to you. Shout out to Craig in the comments here, guys. Give him a thumbs up for Craig. And then go watch him every Thursday, TBN, him and Nixon. So Nixon, who's in 6th place.
I feel like when it comes to picking, if you want to do a Craig, you're like, would this make any sense at all? Would this be a horrible idea? Yeah, it would. I'm going to go with that guy. And then you're just right sometimes.
I think Craig goes with what his heart says. To him, he wanted Saban to win, and Saban won. And he wanted Ishii to win, and Ishii won. So either way, congrats to Craig, Io in second there, and then everyone else behind. It's fun to play along. We'll do this every month. Everyone seems to enjoy it. We'll get into Rebellion, and then we'll see who's champion at the end of that and keep this going. But guys, thank you for watching. Crinkle Stink 17, as always. Thank you for sticking in here with us. WrestleMania is on, obviously. So I'm sure, hopefully, the numbers. I do want to say that
Sting left, by the way. I think.
He did.
Chat.
Well, you don't have to tell people. Live, Max, live. I do want to say perfect timing there. Go check out TBN Chats number 5 with Rio from the UK. Great chat there with her and Craig. And then LOL Tree and A. Go watch the 3 episodes or don't, whenever you want to. Number 4 comes out this Tuesday at 4:20 p.m. It's Cookie Gate with Lucha, Johnny, and myself. It's a good time. And then look out for us, obviously, every Saturday, but maybe moving to Sundays. We'll talk about it. But the big thing I want to say is, guys, we're at 3,417 Twitter followers. Thank you. Io's doing a great job. Our goal for Rebellion was 3,500. I really think we could crack that. But the one I'm most proud of, because we haven't been pushing or talking and beating about numbers, but 280. We made it to 280 on YouTube, and we had 200 views. I just checked. For last episode Ocho Cinco. So thank you there, guys. We can't do any of this without you. We do this obviously for our, to talk to each other about wrestling, but also to build a community. And we hope you enjoyed Multiverse of Matches. We hope you enjoyed our show, our pre-show yesterday, and what's to come from us. Get those subscribes and likes up. Thank you very much. Max, I'll let you end it since you started.
Just goes to show that if you talk about Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, he moves numbers. Man's a Hall of Famer in my mind.
All right.
So I want to thank you guys very much once again. We appreciate all you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys being active. And we will catch you next time.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye.